Okay, now we are on chapter 11, which is our user authentication with express sessions. I'm going to be the driver. Fortune is going to be my navigator. So in this chapter, what we did is we looked at sessions. So sessions are how we keep a user logged into our web app. And to be able to use sessions, we had to install express sessions, which is a package that we install using this command over here. So you can see in our package.json, there it is right here. And then after that, we're going to import it to our index.js. And if you scroll all the way to the top there, you can see we've imported express session using the require method. And then we add the below here. Let me just find it. Sorry, let me just make this big and close this. Yes, and there we have it. Yeah, we have this, and what this does is that it registers the express session middleware in our app, and it passes in a configuration object with a value to a secret property. So after that, we want to implement our user sessions. So the first thing that we do is we go to our controllers and we go to login user.js, and login user.js, we add this line of code here, right? And what this line of code here is that what it does is we initialize the user ID as the user ID of the session of the current request that is sent, right? If there is a user, right? So that if we do find a user in our database when we make a query, right? And you can see this is the line of code here, and we redirect to our home page after that. And then also what we want to do is to log to our console the request session, right? The session itself, and we do that in home.js, right? So if you go to home.js, you can see I have this, I commented it out because yeah, it's not really useful, but we can have this line here. And then after that, we are going to go to, when we log into our app and we get to the home page, we're gonna get the actual session here. So if I just uncomment this, and then and I actually run the server here, I say npm start. Yes, and then we go to our browser here, localhost 4000, that's where the port is. Just going to change this to 4. And as you can see, the session is logged to our console here, right? Just like we see here, we have the path and everything. And after that, what we want to do is to protect our pages with our authentication middleware. So to do that, we have to first create our custom middleware. And let me just make this larger. We create our custom middleware, and so our custom middleware here, I commented it out because we don't really need it once more. And also we end up moving all of our middleware to this folder here, so we don't really need it here in our index.js, but this is the custom middleware that we have. And what it does is that it takes these 3 parameters here, request, response, and next, and it logs to the console whenever a request is sent that the custom middleware is called, and it moves on to the next function, and then we register it using the app.use method. That's just what we do with our custom middleware, and we do the same thing also with our authentication middleware and our validation middleware. So our authentication middleware is a similar callback function, takes in requests, response, and next as a parameter, queries the database, it finds a user by their ID by looking at the ID, the user ID that is in the session. And then after that, we have a promise. What we do is that if there is no user, we just redirect to our home page. We move on to the next middleware. But then if there's an error, we just log to our console the error fetching the user, right? And then our validation middleware, what it does is that it logs to the console validate middleware, and after that, what it does is that if it looks at the files in our request, and if they are null, or if the title and the body in our request is null, it's going to log to our console that this is an invalid post, and it's going to redirect to slash post slash new. So what this is for is that when you're creating a new blog post and you don't put anything into the input fields and you try to post that, it's not going to allow you, right? Because if this is null, it's just going to redirect and just prompt you to put something in, prompt you to try again, right? And do things the right way, put something in, excuse me. And then the next thing that we're going to be doing is to prevent login or registration if the user is already logged in. And to do that, we use our redirect if authenticated middleware, which what it does, that looks at the user ID in the current session, and it's going to redirect to the home page if the user is logged in, and it moves on to the next middleware. It's as simple as that. And then we apply it to this root here, app.get. In this root, slash auth slash register slash user slash register slash auth slash login slash user slash login. And then after that, we conditionally display new post login and new user links, right? So how we do that is that we have this app.use here, which has this global variable which is called logged in, and will be accessible from all of our EJS files. And because we have a navigation bar in all of our EJS files, they will each have access to logged in to alter the navigation bar, right? And then after that, we specify the wildcard with the asterisk, and on all requests, that just means that everything, right? So on all requests, it's going to apply to all requests, so it doesn't matter what the root is, and it should be executed. This middleware should be executed, and we have this logged in assigned to the user ID in the session of the request, right? So what we do is that now that we have the logged in, we go to our navbar.ejs, and in our navbar.ejs we have this if statement here, and if we are logged in, we are going to show this list here, which is new post and logged out. We are not going to see, it's not going to show you the link to log in or the link to create a new user if you're logged in. But if you are not logged in, it's not going to show you the log out. It's not going to show you the link to log out, the link to create a new post. You can't do that if you're not logged in. So it's going to prompt you to log in or create a new user, right? And then after that, we have user log out, which is just this simple link here to this root here, slash auth slash log out. And yep, in our logout dot JS here, as you can see, as soon as you click that link, this function, this callback function here is called in this module here, logout.js, and what it does is that uses the destroy method of the session to remove the session data from the browser, including the user ID, and then redirects to the home page, right? So it destroys this the session. So another thing we did is that we created a 404 page for a non-existing root. So if someone puts in something like this, localhost 4000 SDF SFN, there's something like that, it will usually show this cannot get slash whatever, but we don't want that. We want to handle our that gracefully, you understand? We don't want it to be technical, so that the user can understand what went wrong. And to do that, we're gonna go to our index.js, and in our index.js we are going to excuse me, we are going to add, after registration of all roots, we're going to add this line of code here, right? So at the bottom, let me just make this large. On line 155, as you can see, we have this callback function here inside the use method, and it just renders not found. And then after that, it's going to show us this page. So if I go here, let me check if the server is still running. It is, and I say slash SDF whatever, and you see it says not found. I don't know why the image is not working. I can fix that, but it tells you please try a different URL. It's not found, right? It gives you an error 404. It's supposed to be an image here, but it's not working for some reason. And then yeah, that was chapter 11. So in summary, we use sessions with the express session middleware and the express session package to keep users logged into our app by keeping their information stored in the browser, then sending that information to the server each time a user makes a request. So we protect pages reserved for logged in users with an authentication middleware and conditionally display new post login and new user links based on if a user is logged in or logged out. And we also created a 404 page for non-existing routes. That was chapter 11. I was the driver, and Fortune was my navigator. Thank you.